everybody, and welcome to this week's SheFAB monthly webinar. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Shirley Fantastic, our president, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. We've got Sumia here, our joint secretary. We've got guest speakers here. You know, it's just exciting, and I cannot wait to hear the valuable insights that our guest speaker is going to be sharing with us today. It's super exciting. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that's watching back on the recording. Thank you for taking the time out of your day today to be with us, and thank you for your ongoing support. If you like what you see, please hit and like the subscribe button there on YouTube. Okay, without further ado, I'm now going to hand over to Sumia. Sumia, how are you? And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Miss Shelley. So, as Michael Zadurian once said, after a while, just staying alive becomes a full-time job. No wonder we need a vacation. But what if, we use latest technology to make this vacation much more better? So you must have heard about blockchain, Web3, etc. So today we have Mr. Hassam Rawat, who will be dealing with the same. So please welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Hassam Rawat. The stage is yours.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me, Michelle and Soumya. My name is HM, full name Hassam Moussa. My friends call me HM, based out of originally Mauritius Island. And just a quick intro, I evolved into the digital slash electronic consumer space. I used to head marketing for a company that partnered with international electronic brands in emerging countries. So it's companies like Apple, Oppo, Huawei, Nokia. So I got to learn how some of the biggest consumer electronic brands in the world were launching in emerging countries. Did that for 5 years, and then I opened the Subway master franchise in Mauritius Island and later on in South Africa. And we grew that to a portfolio of around 20 restaurants. And finally, when in the Subway system, I got to meet the Subway master franchisees from Eastern Europe, and these guys were quite early into the whole blockchain Web3 space in around 2015. So they introduced me to that whole world. I found a technology that was growing twice as fast as the internet in the 90s. For me, like mapping the adoption rate, we found that this is probably the fastest technological adoption in history, even faster than the internet. And when we saw companies like BCG claiming that we're going to have 1 billion users joining that space in the next, by 2030, for me, that was it, where I was always a geek in a sense, always try to find a way to impact the world using technology. And for me, the best, probably one of the most impactful eras was the internet days, early internet days. The problem was I was still in high school learning about maths and physics. So I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I couldn't have a chance to have a shot at it. Now that I saw that there's a technology that's going twice as fast that can have a bigger impact, for me, this was a clear cut. I had to go all in and try and really find a way to use this technology to impact people's lives, at least try to do it. So I sold all my restaurants last year, and since 1.5 years now, I've been fully involved in Lingo at a full-time capacity. I was also later joined in by my co-founder, David Amsalam, who evolved in the Paris startup ecosystem. He started a company called John Paul in the vacation industry. It's a luxury concierge company. He started alone with 1 employee, and he grew that to 2,000 employees. It became the biggest concierge company in the world. It later got acquired by an international hotel group for $150 million. And the big opportunity that we saw, David and I, is that when we map out the adoption rate of blockchain, and when we see that there's 1 billion people joining that space in the next 7 years, we find that this delta of 800 million people, these are everyday guys. These are people, dentists, lawyers, accountants. These are not crypto tech natives. And what we've realized is that most of the startups in that space today, whether you're doing crypto, whether you're doing NFTs, whether you're doing DeFi, and who knows what other new term is going to be invented in a few years, most of the startups were targeting the existing native slash techie market, and very few companies were focused on the next big wave of mainstream people. And essentially what we realized is that there are three issues blocking people from entering that space, three major concerns. Number one is that most people find this technology, or at least value offerings in that technology, very hard to understand. It's too complex. The second issue that we've found is that people tell us, look, it's well and good to own crypto, but like, what's the use of it? What's the utility in real life? And then thirdly, and that's probably the biggest constraint people have, is it's super risky. So what we realize is that we tried to speak with the smartest people in that industry, and in the industries that we knew, especially tech and vacations, to find a way where we could use blockchain technology to add exponentially more value to people's lives, that what could not have been done without this technology. But, and that's a big but, in a way where it's easy to understand, there's utility in real life, and that is less risky. So we spoke with the smartest people in those industries, and a year and a half later, we've engineered Lingo. So what Lingo is, it's a Web3 startup. It's a startup that uses blockchain technology to send people on vacations for free. So the idea is that when you think about the free vacation industry, there is the existing loyalty value offerings out there, like American Express, Marriott, or Emirates. And the existing model is this: you can accumulate miles and points for as long as you spend money. You can keep on accumulating miles and points, and then once you've had enough, you can claim those for a free stay or a free flight or whatever. The issue with that is you need to spend a lot of money. You need to spend tens of thousands of dollars for many years, maybe to end up with a fraction in terms of miles. And so we realized that there might be a better way using blockchain technology, where instead of spending a lot of money to receive peanuts in terms of miles, the value offering of Lingo is that all you have to do is be an owner of Lingo, which is a digital asset. And once you are the owner of Lingo, you'll have a mile account, and every single month we'll airdrop you miles. And the difference between this Web3 model and the previous Web2 models is that, number one, you don't need to keep on spending to receive more miles. Once you are the owner of the Lingo token, you keep on accumulating miles every single month. And the second difference is that we do not have a cashback model, where the typical model in the Web2 space is from what you spend, they take a small percentage and then they give it back to you in your miles account in the form of cashback. With us, we have a whole model where we give back 100% of what we generate with our model, and I'll talk to you about this model now. But we give back 100% to the whole community. So it's not a 50-50, it's not a 1% like you'll see in the vacations. It's 100% of what we generate in that mouse model that goes back to the whole community. And we do that for three reasons. Number one is, for us, the whole purpose of Web3 is community driven. Because I found this metaphor once, like Web 1, like the early internet companies, it was just about creating the foundations of the internet. And then Web 2, you had companies like Uber and Amazon and Google and Instagram, and it really disrupted the many industries. But as a result, created billionaires. The purpose of Web3 is to disrupt those industries even more. And to do that, instead of co-founders becoming billionaires, the whole community wins. Because at the end of the day, like what Web3 did, this whole technology did, is that it's maybe for the first time in recorded history, we found a way to quantify your community on the company's balance sheet, and that is huge. That is extraordinary. In 10 years' time, if you have the choice of going to your next door supermarket or another exact supermarket, but in that one, you're a part owner of that supermarket because you own the supermarket token. So by using that business, you also get rewarded for doing that, but in a way that you couldn't have done before using cashbacks and everything else. Like, what would you choose? One where you're super involved, you have voting decisions, you benefit from the financial upside of the company, or another one where it's just, hey, this is a product, I'm paying X for the value. So for us, number one was community, and that is key to our model. The way it works is that, and then I'll go back to the two other points, but the way it works is that we finance the mouth using transaction fees that we charge on every buy and sell, but then we don't directly give those transaction fees back to the community. We add a step in, and that step is very, very important for us to solve the two other issues, which is like it's risky to understand, and the second one is the volatility of that space. So what we do is, whenever people trade our token, we charge a small transaction fee, and we invest those transaction fees in real estate assets. Now, real estate has been one of the safest types of investments throughout history, and a real estate also for the mass market has a safe appeal. It looks concrete, like it's the definition of concrete. And what's interesting with that is every single month real estate generates rentals in fiat. And then what we do is we take 100% of the net rentals generated and we buy back Lingos every single month. And that does, coming back to the two things. Number one, what that does is when you add buying pressure, you add demand in your ecosystem every single month, where over time, as long as you have a fixed supply, which we do, you're increasing the value of the asset over time, because every single month you're adding buying pressure and you're injecting more capital. So that's one reason why we use 100% as a buyback. And number two, what it does is it creates a perceived safety net on the value of what you just purchased, because it's still Web3. It's a very volatile space. We've seen what happened last year. It was probably one of the worst years in that space, with not one but two, if not three, black swan events. And when you are in uncharted territories, these risks can happen. And if they happen, we've seen companies like Luna, for example, who completely depend on the community, just tank to zero. And when we have a real estate backing behind, and when we inject back 100% of the net rentals back into the community, if a black swan event happens in the future in that space, well, at least we have a way to hedge that risk, because there's always buying pressure coming back. So it's not wholly dependent on the community, but the model fully rewards the community. But long story short, this fuels the mouse system, and this is huge. We haven't seen a company do that in a way that we've engineered it. Like, think of it like imagine if Bitcoin, like Satoshi, charged a 0.1% transaction fee on every buy and sell since day one. We would have over $50 billion of real estate today that would generate, if it's a 5% yield, that would generate 2.5 billion a year to buy back Bitcoins. You have a Bitcoin on steroids today. But the problem is, if you want to appeal to 1 billion people, most people aren't really interested into real estate investments. And also, like, what's the utility of it? To just make passive income. So that wasn't really, this lacked spirit for us, and it didn't appeal for us, speak with for us what we had in mind, the next billion people, the next billion wave turning in. So what we've thought about is we started testing out value propositions like utilities that really spoke with people. And for us, we said, look, if we could solve one issue in people's lives that would make most of the other issues easier to digest, for us that would be the vacation. Because if you think about it, like the modus operandi for most people is you go to school and then you go to college and then you work at a job probably that you hate for 40 years so that you can enjoy a vacation once a year. And we said to ourselves, if we have this amazing technology that can add value to people's lives in a way that's never been done before, if we can solve one thing, it would be the vacation side. Because if we can send you on vacations for free every single year, if that vacation part, like the highlight of your year, is taken care of, how more awesome your life would be. So that's why the whole focus was on the vacation, and it's also the industry that we understand, that David's evolved in, that we have, for example, Rachel House, who's the ex-managing director of Booking.com, who's helping us on the board. Our CEO was the ex-country director of Expedia today. So it's an industry where we understand. And again, long story short, I'm going through various tangents because I'm trying to make this complicated industry easy to understand. What it is it's a digital asset. Lingo is a token that sends people on vacations for free, and the utility is free vacations. And it's a less risky option because the whole model is not entirely community dependent. It's backed by real estate assets, and this is our vision. Obviously, there's no we're not saying this will work 100%. In theory, it should. We spoke with the greatest minds in the industry. We don't see why it shouldn't. But again, this is our vision. We're trying very hard to make it a reality.
That's absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for that brilliant presentation and explanation. I mean, I think, you've made it really understandable to our audience as well, so that they can, have a real grasp of what it is that you're doing then, and what you're aiming for, and how it can benefit the community, users, whatever. It's fascinating. It's just fascinating, isn't it? And I think it's brilliant. And I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing this with us. So just before I hand it back over to Sumia, how would people, get involved? Where can they find you if they want to find out more or whatever? Where are you? How can they do that?
We have a website. We have socials out. They're fairly new, but our website is mylingo.io, mylingo.io. And then you can follow us on Twitter at Lingo Coins, LINGOCOINS. You'll find Lingo on LinkedIn also, and on Instagram. We also you also see a newsletter, the Lingo newsletter, where you can subscribe, and then we'll keep you updated on the progress.
Oh, that's absolutely fabulous. That's brilliant. So you heard it here, everybody. You heard it here. You know how to reach these guys and get involved or ask questions or whatever. Learn more, and like you said there, Hassam, there's a newsletter as well, which will be really useful. I love newsletters. So I think that's absolutely fabulous. Sumia, what do you say?
Thank you, Mr. Rawat, for your wonderful seminar. Now we got to know so many things about Lingo. The first and foremost, your vision that Lingo is a digital asset or a token which sends people on vacation for free. And that's something which is great, because we all would love to go on a vacation. But if it's free, then that's really great, because Ms. Shelly wants to visit India. So yeah, if that's free, then that's great for her. And and it's backed up by real estate. So then, as you said, it's more stable. It appears to be stable. So yes, then our confidence builds, and yes, there's a lot of we have a kind of peace in our mind. We don't need to worry, is this safe or this is not safe? So that is something which is great to know. And now you've also explained how you've switched from restaurant business to this Web3 field, where you sold your restaurants and then you established Lingo. So that is something which is very inspiring. So maybe most of the people who are scared about this industry now might take you as an inspiration, because restaurant business is not something small, and you said you've got a huge chain of Subway restaurants, and switching to this is really great. And I would also thank, because you told us three basic reasons for establishing your Lingo. That is community driven and disrupting the industry so that everybody benefits, not just the founders or the co-founders. And you also said that in few years this is going to be the thing. And you also explained that how you are going to give 100% back, 100% back return, not just some percentage written as it's being done in web 2 previously. So that is something which is new, which we've heard. And yes, we've also realized that you have such a wonderful team. You've discussed about your co-founder, Mr. David, who established his company, and it's been purchased by Trivago, I think, isn't it? So yeah, that's something. And you also told about your CEO and such a great team. So yes, I wish you all the best on behalf of SheFAB for more success. And yes, hopefully, if this seminar is going to build a great network for you, then that's a win-win for both of us. I mean, SheFAB and Lingo. So yeah, and thank you a lot for being over here. It's a good seminar and we learned a lot. It's quite inspiring.
Well, thanks for having me. I'll just have to put a few caveats on the risky aspect and the returns. Look, this is still crypto. This is a risky environment, as we've seen last year. We are not. Our model does not guarantee anything financially to the users. We're not saying we are fail safe. What we've tried to solve for is how can we be less risky, because it's crypto and people can still, because it's very new, right? There's still like 200 million people today. When are we gonna have 4 billion in that space? And it won't look like what it's looking at today. It will be more regulated. The market will be more mature and everything. Right now, it's still open. It's less than a few years ago, but it's still quite risky. What we've tried to do is try to solve not entirely for the risky part, by adding in the real estate aspect and the rental reinjection. So what we're saying is not that we are safe. What we are saying is that we are less risky than the other tokens out there. Because at the end of the day, if you've heard about crypto, you have never approached it, or maybe you tried but you didn't. If you're somebody who's not deep in that industry, again, you probably found this hard to understand. You didn't really understand what's the use of it. And then again, like the third thing is, dude, this is crypto, I can lose everything. Well, with us, at least, what we wanted to do is not to launch the next Bitcoin. What we said is we wanted something that would make sense for someone to be interested in, where value can be added in their lives, when they can understand it, and where if they say, look, well, this is crypto, it's extremely risky, at least they feel that it's less risky because there is actual assets behind. So just a little calibration on that. And also that's why we've managed to attract more than 100 celebrities and crypto experts, combining more than 300 million followers. Initially, we were just sharing our vision and said, look, there's a billion coming in that space. They find it hard to understand, risky, and the utility in real life. If we want to reach 1 billion people, it needs to be adopted massively. And one of the greatest ways that companies use to do that is brand endorsement. Nike is a perfect example. It's probably one of the greatest brands in the world. They sell a commodity. They sell shoes, but people don't buy shoes. They buy Nikes, and that's because they've uploaded, they've supported the greatest athletes over time. And what we've done is we said, look, number one, what we're doing is so new that there's no competition. No one's tried this model before. So there's no way where we can know like what audience this will ultimately appeal to more than anybody else, and then we can calibrate. So we've said, look, let's try and reach out to people with influence, people who had millions of followers, and just share our vision and see if they liked it or not. And also, and that was very important for us, we didn't want to pay anybody, because when we pay you to do something, then you become a vendor, and then the interests aren't aligned. At least for not the benefits of your audience is not really taken care of to the max. So we said, look, we won't pay anybody. We'll just reach out to people with influence, share the vision, and if they like it, we'll offer them to earn some Lingo tokens, and then share it with their audience when the time is right. And we said, look, if they love the vision, if they feel like this will work and it will appeal to their audience, they will say yes. If they think this is not good, they won't, because there's no financial incentive anyway. So we reach out to a few people in our network, and today we've been very humbled to have more than 100 celebrities who sign with us. And the craziest part is, once a brand ambassador celebrity signed with us, they were like, look, can I bring my friends in? Because I think this is really, really cool. And we didn't have the network of 100 celebrities. We knew 2 or 3. But when these guys came in, they were like, hey, can I bring my friends in? And then their friends brought their friends in. Like, we have a football player in the French national team who loved it. And he was like, well, he probably brought us half of the French national team to date. And also, on that note, we also realized that celebrities have reach, but they don't really have the authority to speak about an industry as specific as Web3. So they didn't have the authority, they had the reach. Now our challenge was, okay, celebrities, they have influence, but they are not really experts in that field. Let's do the same thing with experts in that field and see what they feel about it. And we were also humbled to have signed partnerships with some of the greatest minds in crypto. If you go on Twitter, like, you check out Lady of Crypto, she's probably one of the largest female influencers in Europe. And in the crypto space, she put us in the list of the top 15 projects that she thinks will go from 10 to 200x this year. Again, we just shared our vision to Lady of Crypto. We didn't pay her, we didn't give her tokens. We did an event in Miami at Decentral, the largest Web3 event in November. We did a private event also to showcase what we're doing. We were very humbled to have BitBoy Crypto attend our event, who's probably one of the largest in the US. We spoke with Wendy O and a few of the major Web3 influencers. So today we're happy and humbled to have more than 100 celebrities and crypto experts who join our team and who are helping us reach our goals of sending people on vacation for free thanks to blockchain technology.
It's absolutely fabulous. I mean, and thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, you know, it sounds like you're doing some amazing work there, and you know, it's so important to, you know, have other people on board, isn't it? And good, you know, expertise and advice and everything, because I think, you know, that human connection when we come together is so very powerful as well. And you know, it sounds like, you know, the spirit of what you're doing is well intentioned and you know, level-headed and coming from a good place. And obviously, this is why, you know, so many people, as you've said, you know, are becoming involved and wanting to also bring in, you know, friends or family or whatever, you know, because they obviously see something, you know, worthy of that recommendation, and that's admirable. So, you know, and I'm so glad that you've been here to share that with us today, and our audience that will be watching back later on this recording. So, I mean, does anybody have any comments or questions while we're here? Simi, do you have anything that you want to finish on?
Yeah, so I would like to thank you for that wonderful explanation. Now, what I've realized is Lingo, it's not just about blockchain, it's about a chain that you've built with celebrities, great influences, then great minds, which helps community, many families, and everybody to go on vacations for free. And that too, using this Lingo coins. That's what I've understood, and thank you for being here.
That's fabulous. And final word to our guest speaker for the day. Go on, please go ahead.
Well, Natalia, in essence of adding value, maybe what I can do is share some stuff that worked for us that we really think is revolutionary in that space. Because we found that a lot of when people hear about blockchain, they think about payments, they think about transparency, they think about scams, and it's quite elusive, it's quite mysterious, it's quite complex, and you don't understand. This is not in theory, this is in practice what I've experienced launching a startup in that space. And for me, I could never go back. I could never do another startup without some form of tokenization in it, because I saw with my own eyes how this was completely impactful. So maybe I'll share a few stuff to the audience of if you're thinking of launching a startup in the future, and if you have an idea set or you're already launching a startup, maybe think of adding a blockchain element to what you're doing, because this really was revolutionary for us. And that's in three ways. Number one is on the influence / community / marketing side, because what most startups do when they raise capital is they burn around 40% of what they raised in marketing and paid ads. And I would argue that it would be better to focus that budget on your product, on your value offering, and make it as good as possible for your target audience. But then you'll say, look, well, you will still need to market it, so how do we cover for that? And what we've done is we've tried to make the product, the value offering, as good as possible. And when this was as good as possible, and also we're still building on this, but when you focus on the product and how you can help people with your product, then you'll have something compelling. And once you do that, when you add a token element to your business, you can approach people who have influence, who have marketing marketing infrastructure, and you can tell them, look, this is my vision, this is what I want to do, this is how we think we can help people. Now, do you want to be a part of it? And if they really believe in what you're doing, you can secure, at least that's what we've done, the equivalent of what you would have spent in marketing, or maybe more, just by allocating tokens that you've now added to your company to these guys. And you'll find that your marketing partners will be even more engaged, because they're not paid. And if they want this to work, they'll need to really put their energy in it. And that's a way where, compared to a Web2 model, your product is better, your value offering is better, and your marketing partners are way more engaged. And to do that now, it's like, how do you do this? Because when you're talking about tokenization, and how does this happen? The jargon in that space is your tokenomics, the whole economics of your tokens and how those work. Now, there's been experts now in that field for 5-6 years, and you'll find plenty of experts in that space. If you Google like crypto tokenomics agencies, or you go on LinkedIn and you find experts in tokenomics, you don't have to be a tokenomics expert yourself. You don't. It's like when you approach if you want to do a website, most people don't need to learn how to code your own website, but you need to understand what you want this website to look like. So what's important now is when you have a vision, your product is as beefed up as possible to help people. Now that you have people who can help you bring this product to their community, how does it make sense in a token economy where it's safe, where it doesn't, it has fail safes, it doesn't, there's not a risk of big crashes and everything, and there's a risk of this going exponentially bigger than if you're just your own company. So the tokenomics side is very, very, very important. We've managed to secure around $50 million worth of marketing contracts thanks to this model. And for me, that's why I'm saying this is completely revolutionary. I knew no soccer players in my life. For the FIFA World Cup final, I had a call a day before from one of the French finalists. He was like, dude, I have some good spaces, come along. I arrived there, I was sitting with the friends and families of the soccer players. It's not even tickets you could play at the FIFA final, which was probably one of the greatest finals in history. And this was thanks to the token aspect of our business model, because you're building partners, you're not building vendors. So what will help us on the tokenomics side, I'll just share you who we worked with. One of them is Brightnode. It's a company based out of Switzerland. It's actually institutional bankers and financiers from Switzerland. Great guys to work with. If you don't understand anything about that space, you can just share what you are doing and what your vision is, and they have a very pedagogic approach, and they can tailor make your tokenomics. You can find them on brightnode.io. The second company we work with is Crypto for All. It's guys in the crypto space since 2013. They are extremely savvy and detail oriented on your tokenomics. And I'm not paid to promote these guys. I don't do paid promotions. It's just these guys help us. And if you want to launch your token, your startup in that space, I would recommend to speak with these two guys or research on your own. So that comes to the tokenomics side. And then the third aspect is this has helped us reach the greatest minds in all departments that we've attended. We wanted to have a great product. We reached out to the greatest minds we could find. We shared them our vision. They loved our vision. We were like, look, do you want to be a partner with us? We'll give you some tokens and help us build the product as best as possible. If you want help on, we needed help on the whole architecture side. We reached out to the best blockchain architects there. They helped us. For another example is we wanted help on the community building / community growth side, which can get quite technical. We just reached out to people who have built crypto projects before, who built communities of 200,000 people. We're like, dude, this is our vision. Do you want to help us? And this is what we have in our tokenomics for advisors. Do you want to help us? And they were like, yeah, for sure. Because again, we focus on the product and the value offering. And so that third aspect is getting the greatest minds in the space help you. And that can be, we did it on a large international scale because our vision is to make this a global revolutionary value offering. But if you are thinking of launching your startup in your city or in your village somewhere, and you want to go into any kind of business, there is probably an expert that you know in your country that is 10 years ahead of you, that has a scar tissue to prove it, that knows, that has a way more experience. Now, you would go way faster having that guy on board with you. The problem is, like before, you need to get this guy into your holding company. It can be complicated in terms of paperwork and everything, and you don't know that person, so there's too much engagement, and normally it's a hard thing to do. But now with tokens, if you focus on your product, if you've managed to bring marketing partners in, if your tokenomics are solid, now in terms of execution, because at the end of the day, a business is a combination of people, and the greater people you have, and the greater you execute, the greater the chance of this working. Now you can have access, you can just reach out to people who are way better than you, 10 years ahead of you, and say, look, this is our vision, these are the marketing partnerships we've built, these are our tokenomics. Can you help us execute on the product because this is your forte? Can you help us execute on the go-to-marketing strategy because this is your forte? Can you help us execute on building a community because this is what you're strong at? And we've done that, and we've attracted, again, the ex-managing director of Booking.com, the co-founder of Decentral, which is the biggest Web3 event in the US. We've attracted the CEO of iTrust Capital, who runs $1 billion IRA crypto company. And you can do that too within your country, within your village, thanks to the token aspect of a business. And this is something that has been mind-blowing for me, that I want to share with you. And I deeply think that, like 10 years ago, if you didn't have social media, it was okay. Now, if you don't have social media in your company, you're irrelevant. I think that in 10 years' time, if you won't have a token aspect to your business, you will be irrelevant, because you'll be exponentially more geared with the whole token aspect. So I'm just sharing what worked for me. If that's helpful for you, I hope it is. And if you have any questions also on how we did it, feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. That was super, super helpful. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's about, not having to do everything yourself, but, going to people that maybe are 10 years ahead of you or whatever, and having their support in your endeavours, and I love that. That was really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing this with our audience today, because actually it was really, really practical, informative, and really helpful, to our audience, the people watching later. So thank you so much. I would be very keen as well myself to get on a call with you at some time. So we must do that as well at some point. We'll hop into LinkedIn and organise that. But in the meantime, all I have to say is thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else that's joined the call today as well. I appreciate your time. It's been great to have you here. And that was just a fantastically, insightful, inspirational, informative presentation. And, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Sumia, do you have anything to say?
The same words. Thank you very much for being over here. So we've learned so much, and thank you for all your inputs. I'm sure everybody over here, they will get benefited from what all inputs you've given, especially regarding the startups. If somebody is interested in starting their own company in this space, especially coming from a city or maybe even from a rural background. So yes, I think this input would be great. And thank you for your suggestions. The two companies that you've said, of course, they didn't pay you for the sponsorship. We can understand that. Maybe they are your friends and you've benefited. Since you've benefited and you have a lot of trust in those companies, and I believe even people who are over here or who get to know about these companies, one is Bright Note and the other one is Crypto for All. So I'm thinking, and yes, everybody should approach them and utilize tokenomics. Thank you for the suggestions, and thank you for being here. All your inputs are really great, wonderful. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot for hosting me here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody. And suffice to say, our audience will see you back again in 1 month's time, and really looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you for your continued support. If you want to get with anything that we do, SheFAB, or be a guest speaker, please do so. Hassam, I'd love to have you back as well as guest speaker sometime a little bit further down the road. You can give us some more updates, progress thing, and that would be great. And in addition to that, obviously, I'll be scheduling a call with you myself to find out more and have a chat with you.
We love that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and take care and stay blessed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.